Hello, everyone. So, welcome to Revealed number 6. We did have a bonus revealed earlier today, but this was the original number 6. And I am so excited for this interview because it's one of my, and I just said this to her, one of my favorite weirdos on the planet, Miss Maya Dayan. She's like, you're one of the people that I have known in Access that the transformation that you've chosen is so visible, and you're so like vulnerable and out there with it. It's just a really cool, inspiring thing. So thank you for playing in all the ways that you play and for choosing what you choose. She also has two unbelievable Xmen beings that live with her that she grew body for.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you say it, but that's perfect
description. I feed them kind of like your dogs, but they have 2 legs and not 4 legs. Put it that way.
The question is, do you put them in crates and pins?
Yeah. There's some legalities there, but
it's been so funny, just as a caveat to do, for those of you that don't know, I have dogs and I have 2 fairly new dogs. So they're puppies, and they've been very vocal during these. This is like the first quiet one, but I won't say they won't be barking in the background. I'm like, I don't know what else to do because they're puppies and you can only do so much with them. So if they say hello, it's because they want to be part of it.
And it won't be my loud kids. So there.
I was going to say, and I don't know where your children are, but they may pop in and that would be fine as well.
Yeah.
Because, I think when you're Xmen cohabitating with Xmen, this would actually be a really fun thing for you and I to talk about. I might have to have you back on. Like for me, we cohabitate in such a different way, and I don't realize it's different until other people come into our environment.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that on one of the lives. And first of all, I really want to acknowledge, like, I watched all the lives and it was crazy, like how much, because it's like we're so unaware of what we are. Like, even the question, like, when did you realize you're different? It's like every time we attend something in Access or ask more questions about it or open a manual, then like we have the possibility to acknowledge how different we are. So even just listening to each of the lives in this series, it was like, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. Oh, I know that. And it was gifting me so much. So
me too. Like, I have been enjoying these. I think I'm going to keep doing them because I have been so enjoying people's stories about, like, because I realized, like, we've been talking in Access. I love that we're doing this interview backwards, by the way. So thank you for that. we can't do the same things more than one time. Like, that's an Xmen trait. Like, come on, don't try to be consistent. But like, we come into, like, Access has such a cool way, like you said, of revealing to you how, not only how different you are, but like that it's okay, but also, like you said, so many of us, like, we didn't realize that was even different. Like, I think Becky said it. She's like, I just assume everyone can do the things I do, or they see the world the way I see it. And I think so many of us did that until we were divulged of the idea that we were like everyone else at some point in our life. So that's the first question to you, is like when did you know you were different? Like, even way back when you were a kid, like, when did you realize, like, oh, wait a second, I don't get these, whatever it was for you. What was that moment?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at that question, seeing the lives, and it was weird because, like, when you ask it, there's like this energy of the cool, the gift of being different. But when I was looking at it, at my life, it was always like the curse of being different.
Yeah, me too. It was never cool back then either.
So the only point that it was like, when did you discover that you're different, was Access, in that expansive sense of difference. And then everything before that was like, I'm an alien. I don't fit here. I don't fit here. I don't fit here. Like, even culturally,
I'm not
like,
from here.
I'm not from here. And we moved when I was very young. So I was already not part of this culture, and then not part of this culture. Like, I wasn't enough of this and not enough of this anymore to belong.
You were an actual transplant.
Yeah. So the difference in that sense was like where do I fit in? Like all this sense of all the time not fitting in, or not acknowledging. Like when I was listening to the videos, I was like, oh, like I remember sitting with friends when I was like 19, 20-ish, and we would sit at a table and there were like tables beside us, and somebody would say, oh, like Maya's pretending now that she's having the conversation with us, but she knows what they're talking about, what they're talking about, what they're talking about. But I would kind of just dismiss it, like, yeah, and keep going. Like, there wasn't the sense of the acknowledgement of all these things as gifts. Like they were there.
Actually could be aware of all those conversations in the room. That's what was in front of you.
Apparently, like this thing came to me I think just this weekend of like, just these things of pinging of like, oh, I used to do that. I just didn't acknowledge it, or I didn't, put it in that department of the capacities and abilities that now I can like celebrate or play with more. But so all those things. And even when you were mentioning, it wasn't this series, but you were mentioning that they put an ultrasound sticky thingy on your tummy, and that you got a download of all the people, and it just like
yes,
I would never acknowledge to myself that I do that, but the moment I heard you, it was like,
totally.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that was like one of those, thank God I knew the tools, Xmen moments, because I had a similar experience prior to that, and I would have just thought I was having a panic attack and freaking out. I wouldn't have realized the download I was getting by being in that room, having that procedure done, like being aware of everybody who has the procedure done, and like why they're having it done, like where they're like being aware of all of it. It's that autistic thing that Temple Grandin talks about, where, an autistic person looks at a picture of a cat and they don't just see that picture of the cat. They see every cat they've ever seen on film picture. They also think of every cat they've ever smelled and every cat they've ever petted. And it just becomes this like, and when I saw that, and for those of you that haven't watched Temple Grandin, the movie, if this at all interests you, please watch that show, because I watched that show half thinking it wasn't going to apply to me. There's a theme. And I remember just sitting there like being stunned and sobbing, because it was like so much of what, and I'm not autistic in the same way she is, but so much of what she experienced was what I experienced. And I think for some of us that we're not like obviously autistic, it's
I know nothing of what
more intense. Huh?
I know nothing about what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, because like I was never diagnosed, and I wasn't like maybe back then I wouldn't have even been diagnosed as autistic, but it's like, so you're in this weird, like you said, this like space of like, I don't fit in, but what the hell am I?
Yeah, actually,
what is going on?
Yeah, I'm like getting how much like the more you acknowledge these things, how it goes to my past, because then I start acknowledging things that I was or did, and then it goes to my future, because now I have a different choice. So it's like this double gift in both directions.
Which is kind of, so the next question is like, when did you realize what your Xmen difference was? Which is, that I think is probably a really cool one. That whole spherical, being aware of how spherically aware you are. One of the things we talk about in Xmen is that people who have autism or who are wired differently, often there's no separation between past, present, and future. It's just all kind of there.
I did have a funny moment with that, because I was getting a lot of like, hey, my autistic friend, when I would come to classes, and it takes a while to even get what people are talking about. But then I was like, oh my God, the amount of people that I would communicate with, friends, family, that I would be like, oh, he's so autistic. Like that was one of my favorite curse words. And then starting to get that piece of like, oh, I get it now. So
Whoops.
that was really funny.
Yeah. So what else have you noticed? Like what differences you are
Yeah,
Xmen?
so I can start, like, it's funny because it's kind of, in a way, it was easier to see it in my kid. First of all, she has more of the like things that would have been diagnosed in this reality. So that was the start. And it was kind of funny because like I wouldn't see it in myself, but at some point it was like, okay, obviously it came from somewhere. Just again, kind of like your story, like I didn't have problems in school and I didn't need Ritalin, and like I just
Yes.
did school and like managed all the things. But the more we look at it, the more we see the difference we were even in school. But so like her writing and the way her numbers, like everything was so scribbled. And I knew that I would never go that path of like diagnosing her, putting her on something, but I knew that if she would be in the system, she would be considered all of those things. And like, she has so much energy, like she hyperactive on steroids, like, and she has the gift of being home and just being that. But like, I could never see her managing a schoolroom for 8 hours a day. Like it just like, and every time I took her to access classes, she would just like run like a tornado around the room. And she got to be that and also facilitate other people of like discovering that.
Well, and I think that's the gift of, and thank you for bringing up your kids, because I wanted to talk about, that's the gift of you as a mom. Because like, I look at myself and I even look at my mom, and like my mom has a lot of Xmen traits, but she was never allowed to be that. And like, and then she didn't know any different, like with us. And, you know, like as a parent, you just want your kids to, you really just want your kids to be happy. And like, so I think like my mom's generation was like, no, you just need to fit in. You just need to do it like everyone else. And I think it's a testament to a lot of us, like in like our age group, how freaking good we are, because we were able to actually like fake it. That we were, you know, it's like, had you had someone like you as a parent, you would have been just like your daughter. But like the space that you are, she doesn't have the projection of like, I have to be different, even without the words of it. And so I think it's such a cool gift, because, you know, she is allowed to be exactly who she is. And like, I'm really excited about kids like that, because I think they're going to grow up and like change the world. They don't have limitations in the world. I have 2 nieces like that. They're just like, and my sister has like completely allowed them to the freedom of who they are. And she doesn't ever, they choose everything that they're doing. And to like watch that is, you know, and they're still aware of the world.
Yeah.
You can't be. Like, as much as we all try to not be, you can't not be aware of the world, but they still choose for them. And I just like, I think it's such a, like, gives me hope for the future, that there are going to be people on this planet that will be like, I'm choosing for me. Not even from a place of like, we do it where like, we never got to choose for us, so now we are.
Yeah.
They're just like, that's just their freaking normal. They don't even think, they don't even realize that it's different. So I would love to just take this moment and say, I'm really grateful, because I'm sure there's moments where you're like, what's going on? I need a break. I need a mom break. So anyway, raising Xmen has got to be one of the most.
Yeah. And they're like my playground. Like, you know, I can practice the tools with them all the time. And it's like, stop reading your sister's mind, etc. And they just love it. And they're aware of it. And they're like she knows at age, it was 6 or 7, that she's aware of entities, and like growing up with that, like how does it get even better?
And what a gift to actually know what it is, right? Yeah. Like I knew that I was aware of things, you know, like I think I said in one of these revealed, like I had very developed relationships with inanimate objects. And I, you know, I mean, now we know everything has energy. Everything can contribute to you. And back then I just, you know, I just had those. So it's very cool. So the third question, that's a 2. This anyway. The third question is, so what has knowing the difference that you are as an Xmen, revealed to you about you?
Reveal. I don't know if like what's coming up is just made things easier. Like I used to be fast, but now I'm way faster.
Yeah.
I like just being aware of how the day can go. Like just everything has more ease because I'm willing to use all those things throughout our day. Yeah, I'd say speed would be one of them because like working hourly, for instance, never worked, like never paid off in my world. And now it's like I can do so much this amount of time, and it's kind of the double of like as a mom, you kind of expand those capacities of like I have 20 minutes, so I'm going to accomplish this right now. So it's even more so that. And what else? Yeah, just. Being more comfortable and like my silence, which is funny because now I'm just chatting in this Zoom with lots of joy, but like I have a lot of moments of silence which used to be so uncomfortable in my world, and now it's just more like, no, okay. This is contributing, this is facilitating someone who's uncomfortable in silence, like all the things that I can do now and not feel wrong about them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, like fill the space with words that aren't really required for you.
Yeah. That a lot of like one of the big things for me was to realize how much we have met since we were children, that incongruency between people's words and thoughts, and how much distortion it created in our world. So now even just being aware of that makes my life easier, or acknowledging it for someone else that I facilitate or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, like, okay, words can't, like, and then we learn to create that for ourselves, to have that congruency, and that also gives us a certain ease with words, like,
and communication. So I love it. Well, thank you. So is there anything else before we wrap up your interview that you want to talk about? It's always good to put an Xmen on the spot and ask them a direct question.
Yeah, kind of like, tell us a joke. Then you're like,
I don't know how to tell a joke.
Well, just if you're asking yourself, what is an Xmen? Am I Xmen? Like, just start exploring these videos. There's like so much, and just see what's pinging you, because it's like this world that keeps unraveling, and it just makes your life so much easier, basically. And your kid's life, perhaps.
You might, the more you admit that you might be an Xmen, you might actually have more ease.
Exactly. Well put. And your kids might be Xmen if you're a parent, and your life might be easier if you acknowledge their Xmen capacities. It's like this ripple effect.
Exactly. And if you're a parent who knows you have Xmen children, but you think you're absolutely not one.
Exactly. You might be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Maya, for coming on today. I'm like very grateful for you. And
thank you so much.
How does it get better than this? So we'll see everyone tomorrow for the last revealed, although I do think I'm going to continue to do these. So stay tuned, because they're way too much fun for me personally. Get to play with all of my amazing Xmen friends. And so, so join us tomorrow. And thank you again, Maya.